kayak in Florida. For the Orlando Sentinel, I'm Kayla O'Brien. Advocates of boating regulation reform say it's time to mandate licensing for small crafts without motors. A citizens panel will meet on Wednesday to explore what could become a path to adopting registration and fees for boats that are human-powered, like kayaks and paddleboard. Supporters say the fees could be around $20 a year. People opposed to the regulations say they should not pay for the services needed by motorized boats. For more on this story, stay in OrlandoSentinel.com.
Paddleboards. Fans of kayaking, canoeing and paddleboarding, gliding along Florida waters is an expression of freedom. To advocates of boating regulation reform, it's time to mandate licensing for small craft without motors. A citizens panel assembled by state boating authorities will meet in Orlando on Wednesday to explore what could become a path to adopting registration and fees for small boats powered by humans, wind and currents. "That sounds like a root canal for a paddler," said retired Coast Guard officer William Griswold, a member of the Non-Motorized Boats Working Group, a panel reporting ultimately to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. "But we need to start to get a grip on how many of these boats are out there." Proposals for licensing Florida's canoes, kayaks and other motorless craft have surfaced in past years. Each has been met by vehement opposition from paddlers and sailors of small boats, who say their pastime is healthy, affordable, inflicts little harm to the environment, and is akin to riding a bicycle. The current review of the potential need for small boat registration started in 2015, when the Wildlife Commission's Law Enforcement section created the working group to consider boaters' access to water, education, safety and a concept called user pay/user benefit. The group in previous meetings has reviewed all the topics except user pay, which will be a focus of Wednesday's gathering. Captain Thomas Shipp, a Wildlife Commission safety unit leader for boating, said the concept has been in effect in other areas of natural resources, including fishing licenses. "You have to pay for that because you get the benefit of the fish," Shipp said. He said the upcoming meeting will provide details from Oregon and Ohio, where motorless boat regulations are more advanced than in Florida. The working group expects to make a recommendation to the Boating Advisory Council, which reports to the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. A member of the working group, Griswold said he supports licensing for non-motorized boats and the revenue it could generate. He said it could help secure federal grants, pay for law enforcement, search and rescue, access to paddling areas and safety education. And it could result in better management overall of Florida's enormous presence of motorless boats. "I would say it would be pretty darn reasonable, less than $20 a year," said Griswold, who also thinks it would be possible for a registration to cover several boats of a single owner. Kayakers and canoers say the rationale in favor of registration of motorless boats doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Particularly off the mark, they say, is the notion that paddlers need the costly amenities required for powerboats, parking lots, bathrooms, boat ramps and dredged canals. "Access for paddleboat launching does not involve a lot of concrete as we prefer a sandy or unimproved launch site," said Linda Bistrak, an avid kayaker in Lake County. "So forget that excuse for charging us money." Rebecca Bragg, owner of Canoe Outpost on the Peace River, and her son, Trent Anthony, president of Florida Professional Paddler Sports Association, said they would consider supporting some type of registration if there was assurance the revenue would actually benefit non-motorized boating. But neither thought that state lawmakers could be trusted to honor such a requirement in years to come. They added that motorless boats are not a burden for Florida. Compared to motor boats, there's not much danger, there's not much environmental pollution, and there's not much harm to wildlife, Anthony said. Brad Barker, a professional kayaking guide near Gainesville and a member of the working group, said paddlers would have little to gain from a registration requirement, and neither would the state except in one respect. "It's all about the money," said Barker, a former Florida Department of Environmental Protection law enforcement officer. Jimmy Hill, a kite surfer and stand-up paddler, and an Atlantic Beach City Commissioner, said that as a member of the working group, he has appreciated that staff of the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission have presented boat information without an apparent agenda or bias. Describing himself as wary of regulations for motorless craft, he said he has heard little so far in working group meetings that supports the need for licensing. "We don't create a lot of problems or costs," Hill said. The meeting Wednesday could be a chance to silence further exploration of small boat registration, Hill said. "It's been talked about for years and years," he said. "We may finally put it to bed." Expert at OrlandoSentinel.com